so excited, so very excited that you guys have joined us. Because if you have ever felt like I don't have enough time in my schedule for something, today we're going to address that with a guy who has mastered the game. We brought in JJ Velador. This guy made over 100 grand last year, worked less than 12 hours a week. That's efficiency. If you figure out the per hour on that, it's awesome. And if you guys have not spent time with JJ, you've been living under a rock. This guy is awesome. He's got great energy. He's smart. He's driven. He's young. He's got all like this super brain juice going, and becoming an early influencer right now in the real estate space. And we wanted to bring him in today to talk to the community about how in the heck did you do this? How did you achieve such amazing results with such a limited time investment? He's got kids, he's got a family, he's got what we've all got. And so what I wanted is to have this opportunity today to speak with a top leader in the industry. And JJ, thank you so much for being here today, for spending time with everybody in the community, man. What an honor for us.
Jeff, you got this intro thing down. You know how to make a average human being feel like he's on top of the world, my friend. So,
that's
look, you guys, there's awesome. No superpower here. There's some grit, some tenacity, and a lot of failures along the way. But yeah, like Jeff said, I have a growing family. So by a show of hands, or drop it in the comment, how many kids do you have? And if you're in the foxhole with me, you know, you guys know where I'm coming from, right? So definitely I had to master this thing called time management. I'll share my screen, but let me give you a couple. Hey, what's up, Jake? A lot of familiar faces popping on. Steve, John, Mike, Liz and Bill over there in Northern Oregon in the gang, Casey, Aaliyah. It's great to see all you guys. And I'm glad you guys took some time, you know, no pun intended, out of your day to come here and learn a few things, the tricks of the trade. And hopefully some of what I share today will only have to be just a refresher for you. And then some of the concepts will, if you're brand new in real estate, will be new for you. So we're not doing brain science here. We're not doing rocket science, anything like that. It's going to be super simple. Trust me, if I can do it, you can do it as well. So with that being said, kind of my background, I'm a college graduate. I'm a dad, a husband. I'm on the Rockwell Group. Last year, we sold nearly 500 homes. One of the most important things that I learned being on the team is how you leverage your team is the most important thing. It's not about splits. It's not about fees. It's about how you leverage your brokerage, how you leverage your team, how you leverage your time, and how you utilize your time. So again, with my college background and my college degree, that was in having a 1-year-old right towards the senior year. I really had to prioritize how I studied and the way I studied and things of that nature. And also with my beautiful wife, she loves my time. She's very demanding of my time. So what used to take me 3 hours as a single man, now I have to get it done in 45 minutes. So any of you married men might relate to that as well. And women that are married, you might relate to that, wanting your husband home earlier, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen here, Jeff. We'll get started with a couple of these concepts.
You're on.
Let me know if you guys can see my screen here. And I'll hit present. All right, cool.
We can see it.
What are we talking about today? Time equals money. How many of you heard that concept? Go ahead and put a yes, a thumbs up, a fire emoji, anything in the comments if you heard time equals money. And I'm going to dispel that myth, even though I'm talking about it today. But we will talk about how to maximize your earnings by optimizing your time. Again, I'm not going to give it away, but everybody open up your mics. Feel free to open up your mic or drop it in the comments. What do you believe is your number one asset? What is the golden resource?
Time.
Heard Jake Rockwell say time. Jeff, I can't see the comments, so I don't know if people are dropping it in there. What is the number one resource that you have?
John Sellers says time. Steve Heron says time. Amanda, some others. It looks like time is coming up quite a bit. Desiree said love. I love that, Desiree. That's awesome.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool. Well, that might be up there, but we're not talking about love today. Maybe a little bit. But look, I love that I stumped some of these giants, some of these titans in the industry, Mr. John Sellers and Jake and some of you others on there. Your number one asset is not actually your time. Now, it's a piece of it, but your number one asset is attention. because someone can give you their time, and a lot of you are in a lot of different places, but nowhere at all. So again, if you're a parent, what is better? Is it better to spend 4 hours with your child while you're mindlessly scrolling through Facebook, but you're there, your body's there? Or is it better to spend 1 hour of dedicated time shooting hoops with your son with no distraction, or daughter? Right? Where is your attention? It's great that if you are at the office for 15 hours, it's amazing. You're going to look like a hard worker, but how much are you actually getting done? Where are you paying attention, right? And where is your focus going? Because one of my mentors, Darren Hardy, talks about, and the compound effect, he talks about working 15-hour days. And one time he thought he was crushing it in the sales field. He was killing it, 15-hour days, 15-hour days. But the needle was hardly moving. It was hardly moving. And yeah, he was making some progress towards his goals, but he felt more burnt out than he was actually making progress. So he decided to get a stopwatch and actually track the minutes, seconds, and hours that he was putting in a day, what was actually being focused and putting his attention towards activities that were pushing him forward towards his goals, and what were just a time suck. Standing at the coffee corner, going to get water, going to make copies at the fax machine. For some of you that have been in real estate for a while, still know what the fax machine is. Scrolling through Facebook, all of these things that were just mindless activities, that even though when he had a 15-hour work week, when he went back and every time he clicked start on that stopwatch, and he would time the activity that he was in front of a prospect speaking to them, then he would start it, right? And then when he would stop talking to that prospect and he would walk to the next door, he was door knocking in this example, he would stop it again, and then he would start it when he started talking. On a 15-hour work day, he only had about an hour and a half worth of time invested into his goal. That is crazy to think. And what I am finding is that as you move higher and higher into different levels of success, that the more attention you have to details, the higher your level of success is going to be. So when I go over to, and one of the things, a quick story, one of the things that I've noticed when I go over to houses of other CEOs, of high-level business executives, of top producers, when I'm in a car with someone that's making $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, they have so little time for clutter. They're very clean. Their cars are clean. Their notifications are clean. Their inbox is, their email accounts are clean. Their yards are clean. Their houses are clean. Again, their cars are clean because they try to silence the outside world. They don't want a lot of distraction in their day. So the more silence that they have, the more that they are able to leverage some of these activities, as I'm also getting to new levels, like hiring house cleaners, hiring landscapers, getting rid of some of the mundane tasks that they can leverage out. They are able to not only get their time back, but their attention. How many of you have gone through the day, leaving the house is dirty, the kids are rushed out of the house, everything seems to be going wrong, and your attention isn't really at work? So that is why I say attention is your number one asset. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up in the comment. We'll keep it moving. Now, look at my guy right here. He is looking really, really happy, right? He's either in vacation or headed to vacation. John Sellers, I want you to participate with me on this slide right here, because discipline equals freedom. If any of you have heard of Jocko, he was a Navy SEAL commander, and he coined this phrase, discipline equals freedom. Now, this guy, he might be, he's, again, on vacation, coming home from vacation, just leaving to vacation. But Coach John Sellers put out a video on YouTube the other day where he talks about when you're getting ready to go on vacation, you truncate so much time that you wasted, again, going back to Darren Hardy's example, and you basically shut out the whole world and you say, hey, don't talk to me. I got all this stuff to do. I need to get to it. I got a flight in 8 hours. I need to get on it. I need to get all my priorities straight and get everything handled. So, John, why don't you give everybody a little bit more clarity on that video and what you were talking about and how this equates discipline equaling freedom.
Boy, on the stage now. Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that time, I mean, time is I love the attention thing that you put in here, but time is a limited resource, right? In that we all have a limited amount of time, and how we use it is really our choice. And we see so many people saying, I'm busy. And the question is, what are they busy doing? Are they doing the right things that are going to get them where they want to go? And that's what you brought up of, are they wasting it on $5 and $10 activities? Or are they even wasting their time on 1 and 2x opportunities versus 10x opportunities? And so that idea is that we have the ability to do things much quicker than we think. We just have to decide that we're going to get it done and stay focused and shut out the distractions. And sometimes that's challenging with our partners and our staff to let them know that, hey, I'm not ignoring you. I'm focusing right now so that I can spend time with you when it's done.
100%. I love that. So you guys remember that discipline equals freedom is a reminder that the sacrifices you make today or for the sake of discipline are the ones that are going to pay off on the long run, giving you greater freedom and control of your life. So as we give you a couple of tips in today's example, I want you guys to just really think about, Zig Ziglar has a famous quote. He says, do not be a wandering generality, but instead be the second part of it I forget, but he says be a disciplined
meaningful specific.
There you go. Thank you, Jeff. So the way I look at that is there's a famous movie out there where there's a bag, right? There's a paper bag that is just blowing this bag through the wind. And are you living your life like that right now? Are you just reacting to the way that the wind blows? Are you reacting to everybody else setting your schedule, setting your times? Are you just working on the demands of clients? Or are you actually setting structure within your day where you're working your schedule? And yes, there is some give and take to that. But instead of taking a client's call and saying, let me know what works for you, that's not very professional, right? How about we work in a way of saying, hey, time parameters, I have Thursday at 2:00, or I could do Friday at 1:00. Which one of those works best for you? So now you are leading your client, you're giving some structure in your own day, and now you're not actually missing appointments or having this hectic schedule on your hands because you are working as a professional. And not only that, success is not only in business, but how does your faith look? How does your family relationships look? How do your finances look? How does your fitness look? So these are other sectors that, yes, you may be putting in a lot of time in your business and growing that, but if all the other outlets are failing, are you truly a full success? Are you a full success story? Would you rather have a compartmentalized success in just that one area? Or would you rather have the fullness of being able to say, hey, my marriage is doing great. My fitness is doing great. I'm on track. I'm doing my workouts. I'm eating healthy. My faith, whatever you believe in, I'm connected to that. And of course, my finances are good. My taxes are paid. Tax time is up. So if you guys don't have those done, it's time to get them going, you guys. And how do we do that? Well, we set rules, we set rituals, we set routines, and then we stick to them consistently. This isn't rocket science. I told you guys, this is some of the basic stuff, but I take a course like this on time management once every 6 months because it's good to remind ourselves to stop, settle in, and recharge and get clarity again around our goals. And if what I'm doing today isn't moving me towards my goals, then I'm doing the wrong activities, right? So recalibrate that. And then again, this is going to create more time freedom. How many of you guys got into real estate because you wanted more time freedom? And how many of you got into real estate and realized you had no time? It's because you're not controlling it. You're not manipulating it, right? So by doing this, we're going to be able to avoid distractions and impulsivity, as John Sellers is sharing with you guys. Now, how do we begin to apply this into our productive work week? Well, first of all, let's go ahead and throw out the word busy, right? As you can see on the right-hand side, busy people measure the input of their time. Productive people measure the quality of the output. You do not want to be busy. You want to be productive. Here's a couple of powerful tips. I got about 4 of them for you that will run through quickly, and that'll enable you to manipulate your time in your favor. So number 1, the easiest way for you to gain control back of your life is going to be from chaos to control, using a calendar. Now, I hated using a calendar, and I still do to this day. And I get it, but Jake told me, he's the team leader for the Rockwell group. He's like, how are you supposed to know what you got going on, or how are you supposed to be setting appointments if you don't know what is scheduled? You don't know what your week looks like. You can't just, especially when you start getting 5 listing appointments, 10 listing appointments, 15 listing appointments. You're working with 4 buyers, 5 buyers, 6 buyers. You have 4 escrows going on. Now, very early on in the career where you're just prospecting, your calendar is not going to hurt you so much, right? It shouldn't. But the reality is, once you start getting those appointments, you don't want to be that realtor where someone posts on Facebook and says, hey, I had an appointment at 3:00 with my realtor and he never showed up. Does anybody got a referral for me on a better real estate agent? It happens from time to time. You know, I've actually gotten clients referrals that way because their realtor dropped the ball and didn't show up to an appointment. So it's going to be able to help you get better organized, keep track of your schedule, plan your day in advance. You can set reminders, important events, deadlines. You guys know what it is. Now, when I go to start my calendar, I always start about late December. I reverse engineer my year, my month, my weeks, my days, my hours, my minutes. Discipline equals freedom. My year events in December for the upcoming year, I plan out my vacation. I plan out my doctor's appointments. If I have the yearly doctor checkup, I plan out any weddings that I know coming up. I plan out birthdays, especially family birthdays from out of town that I know we're going to have to travel to and things of that nature. All of this is planned out for the year, and some birthdays for clients that I need to remember to send gifts to, and client appreciation events. If they're set, I put them on the calendar. This is going to help me just get a head start on my main calendar for the year. I usually go down to the title company and I have them give me one of the big ones that sits right on my desk, and I fill all these dates out. It takes me about anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour to get this done for the entire year. Now I have a head start on what the year is going to look like. Now, when I go into my monthly outlook every single month, I like to set my goals for the month. How many prospecting hours am I setting for that month? How many listing appointments am I going on for the month? How many buyer appointments do I want to have for that month? How many education or training hours do I want to attend? What does my marketing look like? What does my content creation look like? How many coffees, how many lunches, how many dinners appointments, how many networking events? All of this is in a whole month is what you can pack in there. But if you don't have it scheduled out, again, you're just going to be that paper bag in the wind blowing whichever direction it goes to. Now, at the very, very end, I got a golden rule for you that is going to really help out your business, and you'll enjoy how that helps out your monthly calendars, your weekly, your yearly, and all that. But for me, Sundays are battle prep. Who, what, when, where, how. Every Sunday I sit down, my wife and we sit down and we plan out the week. All right, what are the kids doing? What games do we have? What events do we got going on this week? What clients are you meeting with? What hours are you going to be at the clinic? Who can do pickup? Who can do drop off? Okay, I'm going to work a little bit later on this day. I'll be home early on this day. We plan the week because we know that it's going to help the household if we're able to sit down on a Sunday evening and plan out the week, even if it's tentatively. So we started getting rid of Netflix. We used to watch Netflix for an hour, 2 hours, binge watch a couple of shows. When we started doing this, I don't give relationship advice because I think everybody has their own relationship problems. I have my own, but I could tell you that just planning out the week with my wife has worked wonders in our marriage and in my business. So if you're not planning out for your Sundays, it's especially if you're doing this from the year to the month and then to the week, it all gets easier. All this reverse compound effect starts happening where everything is filled in and you don't have to worry about, trying to scramble your thoughts. Who did I set an appointment with last week? Oh man, who do I have to follow up with? Everything starts falling into an organized approach. Daily review with coffee every single morning. I sit down about 5 o'clock in the morning. I get out my pencil, my pad, and my planner, and I have about 3 structures. I have my planner, I have my main calendar that I put the whole year event, and then I have my digital, my Google Calendar. I review all 3 of those. Hey, what are my pitfalls for this week? What are my 4x4s that might hit me in the face that I'm probably not seeing? I do the SWOT analysis of my goals for the week, for the day. And then I review, okay, what appointments do I have and what free time do I have? And then I also intentionally in there put, when am I going to be spending time with my wife, with my kids? When am I doing my prospecting? So everything is getting built out. When am I working out? All of that's getting built out into the daily review so that I'm able to execute at a higher level. Now, some people say, the last one, I do the nightly review. What did I miss? What did I hit? Was it a win? Was it a loss? If we win the day, we win enough days in the week, we win enough days in the month, we win our year, right? So we stack up these W's. Was it a win or was it a loss? And this is going to help put some things in perspective. Were you doing the work? Were you not doing the work? Now, some people say, look, man, I cannot live like this. That is too much organization. Trust me, I'm not perfect. I can't say that I hit on these every single day, but I try my hardest to do it because I know it's leading me towards my goals and it's giving me clarity. And then I also have coaching and accountability partners and people that are mentors that are helping me reach my goals. When I'm able to lay this out in front of them, they have a much easier approach to leading me to the path of where I'm trying to go, because they can see, hey, I see that you're doing this activity. Let's increase this. Let's decrease here. And then let's recalibrate and reapproach your goal and see where we're at in 3 months, where we're at in 6 months. You're collecting data on your own day, right? If you're into sports, a lot of my friends are in sports and real estate that I know and I network with. Some of my friends, no shade on you guys, but you know more of the statistics of your favorite player than you know of your own day. I hope that hurts a little bit. How do you know how many jump shots your favorite player made or missed, or how many turnovers he had, but you don't even know how many turnovers you had on your listing appointments this month? I'm not here to preach. I'm just saying, because I've been in the same boat myself. And then they say, man, I can't live like that. Well, look, when you were a kid or your baby, when you were a baby, you couldn't walk, right? But you didn't give up and you learned how to walk, and now your life is a lot better. Time management is no different. You might not be good at it at first, but don't give up on managing your time, because time management is life management. And you don't want to wake up when you're 60 years old one day and just look back and say, damn, what the hell did I do with my life? That's real. Now, Jeff, I know that you are a little bit acquainted with the Pomodoro technique, aka the jam session. Will you give them a little bit of clarity around what the Pomodoro technique is? And I got some bullet points there just to refresh your mind if you need to.
Yeah, you bet. And let me find my control here. That's awesome, man. Well, I love Pomodoro because, and this kind of goes into like what we see emerging in the tech field, which are called sprints. Really, it's super high productivity, short blasts. How many people have ever been like, I'm going to work on this project for the next 7 hours? And you're like 2 hours in and your brain's getting fuzzy and you feel like you're all over the place, right? Like me too, exactly. But it's really hard to stay consistent and connected to an activity or a behavior for a super long period of time. It's not how we work. So we have to break up the monotony and give our mind a little bit of space. So Pomodoro is amazing because it allows us to work in short intervals, as the screen says here, generally 50-minute intervals, and then taking short breaks so that we get that breath, we get that relief. If you're sitting down while you're working, maybe standing and stretching, walking around, doing some jumping jacks in that space to get your body back into a great space. And then you really want to take maybe a longer break later in the day, after 3 or 4 sessions to really give a full recharge in your body. So this is really going to be helpful for anything that requires like a ton of concentration, where you need deep focus. If you're lead generating, if you're building a new kind of database structure or an email campaign or something that requires a lot of attention and focus, this is a killer way. And what's going to happen is you're going to take something that might have taken 3 or 4 days, because sometimes what we do is like, well, I'm just going to work on it until it's done. The until it's done leaves it open-ended. And we all know if you leave something open-ended, that the work will just keep expanding. It'll just get longer and next thing you know, you've been writing the same email sequence for a week and a half. You haven't talked to anybody and your business is standing still, right? It's called a going out of business sale. I hate those. So we don't do that. but instead Pomodoro allows us to just get really focused, short blasts of time and hold ourselves accountable to getting it done. How's that, JJ?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I liken it to what is called a jam session. When I was on a team with Scott Gephardt, I don't know if he's on the call right now, but he introduced this as a jam session. And I think he got it with Darren Hardy as well. But it's no different. It's a super focused time interval where you are just working on one project and you're hammering that out. How can you use that in your business? With prospecting, right? Prospecting doesn't have to be this huge mountain, this huge hurdle that you have to overcome. It could be a 50-minute sessions. And one of the biggest ways that we used to do it back in the day was the accountability jam session. Scott and I would put on headphones, a headset, and we put a do not disturb on the front of the door, and we just hammer out phone calls, past clients, expired listings for sell by owners, any farms that we were working, cold calling. And there was no distraction, no talking. Hey, how's your weekend? Because that can happen, right? If you're in an office setting, how's the kids? How's this going? How's that going? We're in real estate. People are the most chatty people in real estate. By the time you know it, you were supposed to prospect for 3 hours. You didn't do it. Well, when you say, hey, it's time for a jam session, everybody knows what's about to happen. Your headphones are going on. No one disturb unless you're talking about, hey, this prospect is asking this question. Do you know the answer? If it's anything outside of the parameters of what you're focusing on, then it's something that can wait until the end or during that break or whatever the case is. And this alone, you guys, if you can implement this for the next 90 days in your business and create a couple of jam sessions, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday, whatever the case is, implement 2 jam sessions a day. I promise you, you'll see leaps and bounds in your business. This is what I did. As Jeff mentioned, I made just a tad bit over $100,000 last year, and it was 3 hours a day. That's all I had to keep accountable to business. And I was able to make that kind of income. Now, this year, I will preface that though with that this year, because we are moving into a different market. Last year's market, you could probably stand in an intersection and get hit with some sales and transactions. This year, I'll double that and double my efforts to either double my income or at least be able to be at that baseline income again and keep growing. So I do want to add that market conditions are going to put a play in this. And then also your time in the business. So maybe if you're a brand new agent, what used to take me, again, a couple of hours to do, then now takes me less time. My conversion ratios are up because I have better phone skills, sell skills, things of that nature. I was able to do some of what used to take me double the amount in half the time. So got to play with those numbers a little bit. That goes back to tracking your numbers, which Jeff and Lexi have done great trainings on. So if you're a part of the community, go back and watch those trainings. But be fully engaged with the task in front of you. This is what we're talking about in those jam sessions. Make sure that there's meaningful progress to boost your productivity. So tip number 3, Jeff, if you want to pop in again really quick. And rumor has it that President Eisenhower actually used the Eisenhower matrix to run the country during his time. And a lot of people after that have, again, coined the phrase the Eisenhower metric to be able to create some momentum in their schedule. I promise you it's not as difficult as the ones and zeros that you see on the screen. It's actually as simple as what is urgent, not urgent, important, not important. So there are millions of tasks we could be working on in real estate, but which one should you be working on? Jeff, do you want to
absolutely
break this down a little further?
Yeah, well, and I love this, and I'll be honest, I'm gonna start it, but I'm also gonna bring John Sellers back on stage because I learned this from John. And John, if you're still there, but I will say that it's the intersection of what's urgent and not urgent, and what's important and not important. And I think what happens many times is we confuse things as being important in our world that really are not important, or something, we approach something as though it's urgent, even though it's not urgent. It's not a right now necessity. And what we understand is that things, what I like about this matrix, it helps us to understand what to do right now, what to schedule, what to delegate, and what to get rid of. John, how do you use this on a regular basis for you personally? Because I think you're one of the most productive guys I know.
Well, except Rockwell. Still on here, but the thing to think about is that everybody is fighting for our attention. And so real estate's a funny thing because we always think I got to return every call right away. I got to pick up every call. And yet, funny how when you go to a doctor and you can't pick up the call, the world still seems to run. But why is it that we have to pick up the call when we're having a serious conversation with our child or with our spouse, which I'm still terrible about? I mean, I still do this, but the idea is that we need focused time in our lives. And that's what JJ is talking about today, is these concentration blocks of time where he's getting up in the morning to do that. So there's no calls, but we can do that anytime during the day. And the one I love is this one where, what is it on the bottom left is, not urgent.
Not important, urgent.
Yeah. And that is the one that's classic, because all the other real estate agents, guys, are trying to make their problems your problems. So they're calling you because something doesn't going just right. And they want to bug you because they want you to figure it out for them. And if you don't answer the call and you wait an hour, half the time they've solved the problem. Isn't that true, JJ?
Yep.
And so that thing is to realize that to get out, so much about time management is talking about is getting out of urgency. And my wealthiest friends are the ones that work the most of their time in not urgent, important. And I just had dinner with a buddy of mine the other day. It's worth $50 million, $100 million. And we talked about this matrix, actually. We actually talked about this in the pool at his $5,000 a night condo in Cabo. It's a different world. But he's like, yeah, that's where my life is spent now, and that's why my opportunity is so much bigger, because I don't waste my time on the little things. It's the big stuff. Is that helpful, JJ? And I just think that
1000%. So I did pull it up here just so that people can get an idea of how they can input this into their business. So you can see the screen. So, a couple of things, you guys, the do, right? Urgent and important. Showings, listing appointments, writing negotiation and offers, working with active clients. Those are all things that you should be doing. Those are important and urgent. The not urgent but important things, as John said, you got to work in this area right here. Following up with clients, asking for referrals, updating your database, posting and engaging on social media. Now that's posting and engaging on social media. I don't know if you guys are a fan of him or not. I'm not too much of a fan of him, but Grant Cardone, one of the biggest takeaways that I heard him say is don't watch the media, be the media, right? So don't be mindlessly scrolling on social media. As you can see, not urgent, not important. You need to delete these things. Mindless social media scrolling, Netflix, unnecessary meetings. How many lunches have you gone on that were 3 hour? They were supposed to be a 45-minute lunch meeting, but it ended up being 3 hours. I know some of you have been there. I've been there myself. The urgent, not important. These are things you need to delegate. This is why if you're on a team, I talked about leveraging. So Jake, get ready to turn on your mic. I'm going to have you, if you're still in the building, talk about leveraging your team and leveraging your brokerage here on the next slide. But these are things that if you're on a team, adding, removing signs and marketing, attending most inspections, getting contracts to other parties, using a transaction coordinator. I think for my first 2 years in real estate, I didn't want to pay $350 to a transaction coordinator. And the first contract that I finally did, I said, damn it, I wasted 2 years of my life by not using a contractor, a transaction coordinator. Put a me in the comments if that's you as well. Showing to unqualified buyers. If in our world, we go out and we'll show one, at least for myself, I'll show one house to an unqualified buyer to build rapport, get to know them, send them to a lender if need be. But typically, I'm not going to go shopping for 5-10 weeks with someone that hasn't gone and seen a lender, right? So these are ways that you can use this matrix. But tip number 4 is what I call the Rockwell technique. So, hey, Jake, are you on the call still?
I am. How's it going?
So the Rockwell technique, he doesn't even know that this is called the Rockwell technique, but I coined the phrase, the Rockwell technique. If it takes you 2 minutes or less to handle a task, why should you be doing it, Jake? And explain what's that all about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I'll get caught up on emailing like one of our staff on our team, hey, can you go and do this? And I realized that the time to send that email is the same time that I can just go do it. Not that, you don't want to delegate. Obviously, at some point I need to teach her to, teach those people to do those things. But if I send that email, it takes me 2 minutes, and then she goes to do it and it takes 2 minutes, then we've doubled up the time, right? And sometimes it just gets it out of the way. And a lot of times people are in their chaos of their day and things come up that they need to do. And sometimes you can't do it right then because if you're in the middle of a meeting, but it's really important to have somewhere to jot that down, write down what you need to get to, and then try to get to it. And it allows you to get so much done as long as it's not breaking with those time blocks, right? It's easy to get sidetracked and do these things, but when it comes up and the time's right, then yeah, you just want to jump on it and get it out of the way and done. And I learned that from somebody from my first brokerage.
100%. And the way that I've been seeing it in action now is before, I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later. By Friday, how does your Friday look when I'll get to that at the end of the week versus how many of those tasks could have been done in 2 minutes or less? And now you got your time freedom back, right?
I have a to-do list. I mean, I'm somewhat old school. I have this and I rewrite it every other day. And I look at it and I'm just like, okay, what do I need to get done? Some of it's just, quick and easy stuff. Some of it's project type stuff. And when you were talking earlier about just having full time, an hour block, I can get a lot done in an hour. If I leave my phone face down, ringer off, no other screen, not looking at stocks or anything like that, and I can just get a lot done, especially on small to medium projects. But anyway. So
Jake, I know you went through a huge overhaul of bringing your whole entire database to Follow Up Boss, the CRM. Now, when I have listened to high level coaching calls, some of the $1 million coaching calls, they talk about the coach asks the student one thing: where's your attention? Right? So when you did that, how much attention did you have to put into making that overall happen? And how quickly were you able to transition a 50-person team, which would have scared a lot of team and brokerages switching over such a big overhaul like that? How much attention did you give that task, and what did it do for you when your attention was there on that one priority?
I had to go back to work, JJ. I couldn't travel, I couldn't golf, I couldn't do anything. It was important to make it, to do it quick, because it's, you draw that out over a 6-month period. Agents don't stay on. And I know that what we're doing is going to make things much better for our team. And so it just had to happen. We lost agents over it. I mean, we got people upset and a lot of things have happened. Some of that stuff's happening industry wide anyway, but I knew that where it was. And so I'm working 10-hour days, putting in some time to really get it fine tuned, work one-on-one with agents, get people trained and best practices to use that along with the different type of lead programs we have and so forth. So yeah, it had my full attention. It still does.
Complete attention. Yep. So last thing I want you to talk about, Jake, as we wrap up here in these last few slides, you're a big advocate for leveraging and delegation, right? And I've heard you speak on two things: leveraging your brokerage and leveraging your team. So if you can't see the slide here, it says I have up, you're not the best at everything in the world, and you shouldn't aim to be. Instead, create a business, create seats on the bus, and aim to create a surrounding of excellence. So break that down for us really quick.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people think people build a team to leverage agents, but it really should be the other way around. And obviously the agents are our customer, our clients, but I've seen stories of agents selling 100 homes on teams, and because they've really fully leveraged. And the people that leave our team, generally the people that aren't leveraging the team, people that leave EXP or leave their brokerage, is because they're not leveraging their company to the fully. There's a lot of benefits to be had with a team or a brokerage, and what can you use that company or team offers that will save you time. And leverage is basically time, right? If you're not going to leverage time, then you're going to spend money. You get one of the two, you're trading time for money. And so, really for us, the shift that we're making on our team is like, how do we take everything off the agent's plate that doesn't involve working with 90-day clients, 0 to 90-day clients? How can we take as much of everything else chaos off their plate? Obviously, transaction coordination is like hiring a property manager. The day that I hired a property manager, my life changed. And same with we've always had a TC, so I don't know anything different. I wouldn't know how to use SkySlope. But it's just not the best use of our time. Obviously, if we're focused on showing homes, going on listing appointments, having buyer consults, and doing that most of our time, then that's the highest productive time that we have. And so leveraging your company, obviously hiring TC, we have, for our team, we have, your TC can do listing coordination, follow-up, and so forth. Obviously, a lot of that can be automated, and having the right CRM. Obviously XP, we've got KV Core. We moved to Follow-Up Boss for multiple reasons, but it made it easier for that follow-up. And now we're kind of integrating ISAs for team members. If you're going to go show homes, I talk to team members that are doing high production. I'm like, why are you not having maybe a new agent go out and show that home and give up 10%? I'm just not ready to give up that kind of percentage. I'm wanting to save up some money. I said, you're looking at it wrong. You're going to wait forever to save up money because you're not going to save money. But what you're going to do is if showing homes, if the buyer experience is 40 hours, right? Showing homes is probably 30 of those 40 hours. Now, if you can leverage a team member to help show your homes, showing assistant or whatever, that's going to cut your buyer experience, your buyer work down by 3/4, right? How many more people can you get into showings by having all that time to convert those leads and convert them into more showings? It's going to be a lot more money in your pocket than giving up 10% to a showing assistant. Does that make sense?
100%.
So, and agents are like, I'm going to wait, or I'm going to wait to do a TC to do that. What they're not realizing is if you're doing your own transaction coordination, you're spending 5 hours or whatever the hours are. Those are hours that should be in that third quadrant in those boxes from earlier where we should be working. Obviously, the urgents are showing the homes, but we can't show homes and we can't list properties unless we have people that want to, right? So we've got to be doing that prospecting, the follow-up part of it. And, where we're going is trying to really cut off some of the top of the funnel and at the end of the funnel for our agents so that they don't have to do as much follow-up. They still got to. I mean, if it's a 0 to 90, there's still follow-up, right? You got to keep in touch with those people once a week or whatever. And so anyway, leveraging every piece of it, if you're on a team or a company, leveraging the marketing that they do, leveraging the tools that they have, all that.
Love it. So
automation is big for us. I mean, I'm big on automation. We have automated notes that go to the agent when the stage isn't updated, or maybe they didn't do something, or it's sitting in appointment stage, and just an automated note goes in, a reminder, hey, let's update this, just to keep things solid so that nothing falls through the cracks.
Love it. And then you guys, the last thing we're going to talk about, which I told you is going to boost your production, is learn how to say no to people. So if you take all of these tips and you start working and implementing these systems, saying no is a lot easier because you're, again, looking at what you say no to is saying yes to something else, right? In place of that. And what you say yes to is saying no to something else down the road as well. So if you have your calendar intact, you know where your focus times are going to be, you know what your leverage activities need to be, then being able to say no to someone when you go to look at your calendar is this going to move me closer or further away from my goals? Whether it's in fitness, family, faith, or finances, right? Those are the 4 F's in my life. I don't know what they are for you. You need to figure those out. But it's easy for me to say no, especially for someone that's a people pleaser. I like to make everybody happy. I like to go to all the events. I like to go to all of the networking, everything like that. So where are you able to say no to things? Mike, we're going to get to you in 2 seconds here. Where are you able to say no to things is going to be a lot easier when all of these things are in place. And that's why I said reverse engineering it, not only reverse engineering your goals, but your schedule from the year to the month to the week to the days is going to help you say no to some things that you need to be saying no to. So you guys officially did our own Pomodoro here for the last 15 minutes. I wanted to open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions, I know Mike has his hand raised. For myself, for Jeff, for John, for Jake, any of these guys that are with us today, thank you, gentlemen, for helping me out with that. Feel free to open up your mics, raise your hands. Mike, what's going on, dude?
What's going on, JJ? Killing it, man. I'm loving this. This is one of my favorite topics, which is crazy because probably about a year ago, I just did everything, right? Like everything was urgent. Everything, like if it was a task, it needed to be done, things of that nature. And like you said, about Jake, like the thing that has really helped me is if it takes 2 minutes or less, get it done now, right? Why wait? If it takes 2 minutes or less, it's not going to disrupt your day. Get it done. If it takes longer, prioritize it, right? And the thing is, man, with time management, with time blocking, I think a lot of people have a hard time saying no. Like, honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do. If you ask my kids, like I'm okay with saying no, but I know there are a lot of people pleasers out there that have a hard time saying no. And if you're time blocking, man, really and truly, your schedule gives you permission to say no. Some of these things, some of the tasks that you feel weighed down about, they might be important things, but if they're not right now, it's okay to say no. You don't have to say no forever, right? Like put that on another time block somewhere else. But if you prioritize your time and your time blocking, you're giving yourself permission to say no. You're giving yourself permission to do the things that you want to do, right? So, for instance, if you're time blocking and you're spending an hour with your kid, there's nothing that's going to come in between you and that time with your kid. Right. There are very few life emergencies that can come up, or business emergencies that can come up that will take you out of that time. Where if you're not prioritizing that, right, like if it's not time blocked, like if you're just randomly going to spend an hour with your kid, you might take some phone calls. You might, want to send an email or whatever, get distracted. And you're not doing anybody any justice that way. Right. Your business or your personal life, you're kind of getting in the way of both. So I really like this topic, and it used to be something that I just didn't think much of, man. But the more I spend time around guys like you and Jake and John and Jeff and these guys, the more I see, man, I've been doing life wrong, right? Like not everything is urgent, and we need to give ourselves permission to say no and to do things that we want to do. Right?
Mike is being self-effacing there. Mike's killing it, y'all. But I got to say, Mike, it reminds me, JJ, I met Norman Schwarzkopf a number of years ago, and he said that leadership is the ability to say no. This was he was still doing whatever it was, the chief of central command or whatever that role was. He was general of the U.S. Army in the first Gulf engagement. And the crazy part is I've thought about that ever since, like the ability to say no, because what we're doing is we're filtering. And how hard is it to say no to things, right? It's a tough thing. And so many of us are people pleasers, right? We go into real estate. It's like, I just want to help people. And so I want to help people doesn't mean that you can bleed out all of your time, because then you have no time, resources left to give to people. So this is awesome, man. I love it.
I appreciate that. Joanne, I also wanted, so Mike, everything you and Jeff said, 100%. One thing that rings in my mind is Jeff taught me his concept. He said level 1 leadership is being able to lead yourself, right? Brush your teeth, groom your hair, put your clothes on. And that's what we're focusing on this today. But when you want to start moving into level 2 leadership, level 3 leadership, if you don't have these things down pat, there is no way in bloody hell that you're going to be able to move into level 2 leadership, which is leading someone else. And then when you, after level 2, you get to level 3 leadership, where you're leading an organization, a sales force. You're going out there and you're creating a whole mission and you're pushing people forward, right? Sorry, I almost broke my computer screen here. If you don't have your schedule tightened up, how do you expect to be able to lead 10 people, 20 people, 30 people? There's no way you're going to be able to do it. So start with the easy stuff of leading yourself and getting your calendars right, because everybody says, man, I don't have enough time for that. This is the cliche thing. We all have the same amount of time as Elon Musk. We all have the same amount of time of Jeff Bezos. We all have, and how are they crushing life? And we still have the same 24-hour time frame as them. And a lot of it starts with these simple, basic concepts. Now, the reason I brought up Joanne's name is she has just crushed 75 hard. If some of you guys know what that is, you know what's going on there. Basically, she had to do two 45-minute workouts every single day. She had to take a progress pic every single day. She had to do 10 pages of reading every single day. She had to drink a whole gallon of water every single day. And if she failed on any of those days, she had to start all over on day 1. Now, I did the same challenge, and that's what helped me build some of the mental discipline of having more time in my day. Joanne, why don't you give your experience on what you just went through and what you found with time discipline, with time management, going through that program?
Thanks. Well, I'm a really, one of my best skills is to justify why something should be actually better to be done tomorrow or next week rather than today. So I'm really good at pushing things down the road.
Hold on, time out. She also leads a team that is absolutely crushing it and doing, I don't know how many millions in production up there in Roseburg. So on top of all of that, okay, so go ahead.
So to have the items be non-negotiable, like I have to do this today. I have to stay up and drink another quart of water. Like the last thing I want to do right now before bed is finish this water or do this workout. And one of the workouts has to be outside. So it really made me like plan my day. Look at the weather. Which hour of the day am I going to want to be outside to do this because it's snowing, raining, whatever, or it's, it just made me kind of just change my whole mindset of these things are not flexible. These are must do's, or urgent and important. Because, as the days went on, I did not want to start on day one or quit. I had to, I even had dreams like, oh my gosh, I ate a stupid frosted snickerdoodle. Why the hell did I do that? Now am I going to start on day one or am I going to quit? I had those dreams and then I would wake up and go, oh, good, I really didn't eat a cookie. So it would just stuff like that made me, and then just a side benefit is I started to do some stuff like I started making kombucha, which I've talked about doing for years. I did a 7-mile snow run in the mountains that I would never have signed up for, just seeing some initiative taken by myself on things that are just kind of, maybe someday, whatever. So I'm believing that as I wind down the 75-day challenge, those things will bleed over into my everyday courage of scheduling and doing things that I promised to myself, keeping the promises. Like I'll say, yeah, I'm going to do that. But then, okay, yeah, there are reasons why I didn't do that. Let's stop all of that and start doing what we promised to ourselves and then see the results that's going to benefit our families and everybody that even knows us. So that's what I'm excited about.
Love that. Yeah, everybody give Joanne a fire emoji there in the comments, because that's amazing. You guys, any other questions out there? Like, what are you struggling with time management? Do you need help? What is your perfect day? Should that look like? Is there any questions that you guys have? This is your space, your call to be able to grow from. So is there anything you guys have, whether you want to put it in the chat bar or if you want to open up your mic and talk about it, we can. You guys have some heavy hitters on the call right now. So use this
JJ.
Yeah.
I love that, Joanne. And one thing I have to ask is, as you make and then keep those promises to yourself, right? Like you make a promise and then you keep the promise. We're all guilty of like, I'm going to lose 10 pounds after the new year, and then you don't do it, right? But when you make a promise, even a micro one, and then you keep it, what happens for your self-esteem over time? Like what happened for you through the process to the internal feedback loop about keeping those promises for your self-esteem?
Well, it made me trust myself. Like I'm a trustworthy person because I can even trust myself to do what I said. Whereas before it's like, you just doubt yourself because you're making promises to other people. But if you're not even keeping the promises to yourself, how legit is that? So
it's huge.
It makes it the whole thing much more pleasant and fun.
I love that. Yeah, it's those, I think those micro achievements stack up. I know this about JJ. It's like, what's the old, if you make an adjustment by 1%, it makes a huge difference over like a 300-yard golf drive, for instance. And I know Jake and John are on here, so we got some serious golfers on the call. But like a little 1%, but 300 yards later, it's huge. I think that 1% daily could be like, I'm going to do something and then actually do it. Follow just that micro follow through. And it sounds like that's what you've been doing for 75 Hard. I've not done the program.
The other thing, I want to add one other thing, because this was really big for me, is I've always been pretty productive. In spite of myself kind of thing, I get quite a bit done, but then we have these beliefs like I'm getting older now and I love working out and I've always been pretty much into fitness, but I like to have rest days. I like to work out hard and then rest, and it's important for my body to recover. And so how am I going to do with 2 workouts a day for 75 days straight with no rest days at all? And so I had to overcome that mentally. Like, let's see what happens. Let's see what I'm capable of. Well, guess what? I'm stronger, more flexible. I'm I mean, I have more energy, all of that stuff. Like my body did it because I made the commitment. And guess what? I didn't fall apart. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
I love it. That's huge, man. Well, and it really makes a really big difference over time. I think that's the thing that's intangible about this stuff is you might see in one day, oh, I got, you know, these 3 things done, or I had this commitment, or maybe with regard to fitness, right? Instead of fitness burrito in your mouth, you can actually make a focus on your fitness. But I will say what's beautiful about this stuff is that those small achievements add up to big achievements later, right? Winning the Olympics isn't a single thing. It's about a million things that had to happen in order to get to that pinnacle level achievement, which is why the old adage is it takes 10 years to create an overnight success, right? It's about creating a daily discipline or a habit of successful micro achievements that stack into being a successful person, right? What's the old Jim Rohn? He says it's not about what you achieve that's so great about success. It's about who you have to become in order to achieve it. And I think that that's what's amazing about having incredible leaders on here, Joanne and so many others that are huge, multi-million-dollar producers, guys. It's like this kind of an opportunity to hang with folks like this doesn't happen very often. And thank you, JJ, for being our incredible host today.
You know,
this is awesome.
If I can add to that, Jeff, one of the things that Joanne, that I love that you said, and for everyone to hear this is that, and Joanne said it, is that Joanne is a person that loves people. She gives a lot of time away. And the challenge with that for so many givers is they're really good at giving their time away and committing and honoring their commitments to other people, but they don't honor their commitments to themselves. And that's what Joanne was saying there, is that like, I'm good at doing all this stuff, but man, if I don't have it, like if it's an appointment to a client, I'm going to show up. But if it's an appointment for myself, I don't know if I'm going to do it. And that's really challenging for all of us. And some of us different according to our DISC profiles, right? And I'm sometimes amazed with some people that can just clock things off. And we have to realize that sometimes that's their DISC personality. So it's a little easier for them. But that question is coming back to is when Joanne is now, his idea is you've honored your own commitments. But I think one of the things, guys, is to realize that we got to get really clear about what our priorities are and what our goals are. And when we get really clear about them. So what Joanne did was she made a big, hairy goal, right? The 75 hard is intimidating. But when she committed to that, it was so overwhelming that it had to take all of her focus. And when she put all of her focus in it, she was able to do it. And what I'm hearing now with these words, Joanne, is that a little bit is like, I hope I can do this now. I hope I can take this other. Baby, you can take it anywhere. You just have to decide that you're going to put the same commitment around your other goals as you have done this. And if you can do it for 75 days, you can do it for another 150. And then, like JJ said, he doesn't do his schedule perfect every day. I remember Joe Stump used to coach me. I don't know if you guys have heard about Referral Only. Joe and I were in this personal meeting. Him and I think we're playing golf. And he said, you know, your perfect day. And he said, John, I'd say, oh, I do it for 2 days. Then I get so mad. Then I don't do it for 2 weeks. I just give up. He said, John, stop. You know, the idea is if you can do it 3 out of 5 days, you're winning. Forgive yourself. Get going again. It's not about getting off track. It's about how fast you can get back on track.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Okay. Yep. Winners are screwing up all the time. The people you think that are all got their shit together, they're just screwing up too. We laugh about it, you know, but they're just getting on the horse faster. They're forgiving themselves faster and holding themselves accountable to a higher standard. And when we get these standards set together higher, we don't drop as far. But also, JJ, one of the things I love that you said there, and I pointed out, Jeff, is that you're starting to build these habits and then you're stacking them, JJ. That's what you've been doing, right? We're stacking them. They get easier. Stack. And so, Joanne, I would just, and what you're saying is I'd watch the words now in that, you know, I love 3-hour lunches, you know me, you know, but the idea is that serving my goals? Is that serving, because my dreams for my family are as important as other people's. And what am I going to do to make sure? And I realize that most of the time I can accomplish everything I need in 30 minutes, right? Just as well in 3 hours with that relationship with that client. It's probably better if left a little on the table. But I love it, Joanne. I hope everybody just hears that inner confidence that she's getting. And it translates to everything, Joanne.
And it does. It does translate to everything, you guys. Again, going back to these jam sessions, that's what she was doing, these mini jam sessions with the workouts and with these other focused intervals and all of these different aspects. But if you do that, I challenge all of you guys on this call for the next 90 days to go into the shifting market and do a few of these jam sessions for prospecting. I don't care what it is you do for prospecting, whether, again, you're farming, expireds, for sale by owners, cold calls, leads, follow-up, sphere of influence, whatever it is that you do to get business for the next 90 days, go out there and do 2 jam sessions a day. What is that? 45 minutes, 45 minutes. That's an hour and a half of committed time where nothing else matters outside of that. Lock yourself in a room, in an office, in a conference room, whatever it is, and just focus on that for 90 days. I promise you, if you do not have 4 or 5 escrows from that activity alone, then I've wasted your time today. But if you can come back in 90 days and say, I've done this every single day, and say that you don't have some escrows from there, then I am a complete liar. But I'm willing to bet on myself that if you did that for an hour and a half, 90 days, you'll be rolling in escrows. Anybody else want to bet on that and raise your hand?
Let me say one other thing. I posted this link to Spotify, and this is really the reason I did the 75 hard. I was waffling on whether to do it, but this is a podcast of the guy that created it, telling what it's about. And really, it's not a diet program. It's not a workout program. It's a mental toughness program. And if you can do these things for 75 days, you will become a different person. And that's why I did it. And so I would highly recommend anybody that's considering it, just listen to what this guy has to say about it. And I think that you'll get the true picture of what it is.
Sweet. Jonathan, what's up, buddy? Arizona in the house.
Good morning, my friend. How you doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
Well, so a couple things. So I love seeing you up here because I think back to, I'm trying not to curse on Zoom here. Almost 8 years ago now. And let's be honest, we were both young and fat and kind of stupid and didn't really know what we were doing. So to see you lead something like this has been amazing.
Appreciate
and
that.
Obviously you and I have Jeff's right.
Appreciate you calling me fat.
hey, you called me fat and vice versa, because let's face it, right? That like we cared more about each other than we cared, about our friendship. And
1,000%.
We've both done 75 hard multiple times. I think you're on like day, 50 something. Anyways, so most of you don't know, JJ and I and one of our other real estate friends and partners have a weekly call on Monday for like 15-20 minutes, just going over our goals that we set from the previous week and were they wins or losses, and part of that is JJ's schedule. So JJ, if you're open to it, I would love to paste your perfect day schedule in chat for people to kind of see what you're kicking ass on.
Oh, sure. You can go ahead and do that. It's something that is my legacy day. If I hit this every single day, I know I'm moving towards my goals. It's kind of crazy.
JJ, do you mind because we're going to get this up on YouTube. We're also going to put it in the community center for everybody inside the community, inside our archives. Do you mind if we post that inside there as well?
Yeah, feel free to.
Thanks, brother.
Another thing I'll add, you guys, is this stuff works. Chisel at it. As Jonathan mentioned, a little bit of my past, and then Scott will know also when he saw me rolling around in a 98 Ford Explorer. And you guys, I was in Section 8 housing about 7 years ago. I was making about $11,000 a year. I had a 2-year-old son. I was trying to figure out this thing in real estate. I had food stamps. Scott, without me trying to get emotional here, how proud was I when I came into the office and told you I finally told the government that they can have their stupid ass, sorry for the cussing, their dumb food stamps back because I've made it, baby. Dude, that was one of the biggest moments of my life to tell Scott Gephardt when I was on the team with them that I'm no longer accepting food stamps or government housing. For me to go from there to now worrying about how much we have as a family household have to worry about paying back the government and taxes has been a blessing. So when I get these tax documents back, I just have a moment of gratitude. It's like, dude, it doesn't matter how much you're paying them. Maybe I need to go take Bill's class again, and so I don't have to pay them as much. But I remember coming from those humble beginnings. And again, this stuff works. Chip away at it little by little by little. And as I mentioned, when you're reviewing those nights, was it a win or a loss? If you have more wins in the win column than losses throughout the years, things are going to get better for you. I promise you that. So if you're going through it right now, just know that there is light at the end of the tunnel if you practice what we're throwing down here.
Yeah, JJ is a great example of just believing in the process and putting in the work and breaking down the schedule and having certain things. He's been doing that for a long time, like back to when the days he's talking about, where we break down the schedules and say, here's what we have to do today. We'd have numbers we'd have to hit for the week, and he'd hit them. And I mean, as soon as that started that process, then it just kept going from there. And obviously he's made one of the biggest transformations I've ever seen into this great thing he is now, which is crazy. He was great then, just wasn't focused. He didn't have his energy go in the right direction.
That's true, man. That is the truth. Well, you guys, I want to give you guys time back. We have about 20 minutes. So time and attention to do something for the next 20 minutes, unless there's any other hand raises or questions or anything in the chat bar that we missed.
I want to add something, JJ.
Give it to us, Mike.
Sorry. Yeah, man. So, again, all of this has been absolutely awesome. I want to add the 75-day challenges and whatnot. I work on those as well, right? It kind of gives me like a shorter term goal, and it kind of breaks it down. The thing about real estate though is we all kind of get stuck in these 90-day cycles, right? Like I've talked to tons and tons of really, really heavy hitters, including guys on this call, and what we see a lot of times, especially in newer agents, is we'll find a groove and we'll start kicking ass and we'll do great for 30, 60, up to 90 days. And then we kind of forget what got us to that point, right? Let's say that we hit it hard for 90 days. We have, 30 escrows open or whatever it might be. We start to feel bogged down and we forget to do what it took us to get to that point, right? Does that make sense? Right? Like we grind and grind and grind, and then we kind of just stop. We halt all movement. We want to make sure that we stay consistent, right? And don't have to get stuck in those cycles. And that's kind of what happens with dieting and everything else in our lives is we do great for a little while, then we fall off and we're like, screw it, I'll get back to it at some point. And then here we are next year trying to start our diets over, right? So I think it's really important to stay consistent, stay motivated. And one of the things that really helps me is having other people that I can talk with, right? Other people with like-minded goals. And so I want to offer myself out for anybody that's got a fitness goal and or a business goal. I'm super goal oriented and I love working with others. So, JJ, like I really appreciate this, man. And I just wanted to throw that out there because I like the 75 hard. I think it's great because it kind of breaks down big goals into a shorter time frame. But once you reach that goal, find a new one to start working on or whatever it might be, because you don't want to get stuck in this time next year having to start all over.
1000%, man. Momentum. When you have it on your side, you gotta run with it. Well, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and take us out, man?
Oh my goodness. What a great day. And first off, I love the concept of I'm going to give you your time back. That's beautiful. By the way, JJ, I know that you are definitely creating a lot of great content out there that's available to agents to help them to grow their business. Is there anything specific that you'd love for people who are watching this, maybe in some of the legacy campaigns we're going to be putting out there, drive them towards some other stuff that might be able to help them grow their business?
Well, when we're talking about attention, right? My attention right now is building out the team channel. We're at Pro Real Estate Teams on YouTube. So you can go and watch some of our content there. That's more geared towards like team leaders, brokerage owners, and things of that nature to help them grow that side of the business. But we're going to be dropping things that pertain to real estate and all. So if you guys want to build your real estate business, there's going to be a lot of good tips and tricks there. So appreciate that, Jeff.
That's awesome. Well, thank you everybody for being here today. As always, thank you for being the very best part of the community. We're an eXp Realty organization for a reason. If you haven't checked it out and you're a guest today, go check it out. You'll understand this is not a sales pitch. Just change your life the way that we all have. There's a reason we're all smiling. But beyond that, JJ, thank you for your time today and working with all of us to really max out our life value. I love that perspective. And you're a guy who's really doing it and making it work. Honored to be in business with you, brother. And this is what a great day. Really, really cool stuff. Thanks everyone for being here, and catch us next time. Same bad time, same bad channel, right back here at thecommunityzoom.com. All right, guys.
Thank you, JJ. That was so good.